All right. Hey, it's Jabbo. Welcome to my Lego podcast here on my Lego channel called BrickTsar. And this podcast is found pretty much only here because I have not even attempted to put this where other podcasts might be found, but that is the goal, to do that one day. So, I normally film these over the weekend and then they upload on Monday, but today I'm filming this on Monday. I've had one of the craziest weeks I have ever had at work. And I actually, a few days into the week, I was like, I could already tell this is going bad. So, uh, to not put too much on my wife, I also closed the Bricklink store, which currently is still closed here on Monday. And don't get fooled, there will be a Pablo coming up, a previously recorded one. Or a part of a video will include a Pablo picking a Bricklink Lego order, but that was filmed a while ago. And the store is currently closed, and I'm not sure when it's going to reopen because I was in the middle of uploading parts to the store, which the parts, some of them are still in bags. Because all the time that I had thought that I would have over the weekend to do that got canceled due to work. In fact, if you want to, there's a video on, should be still up on Hoosiers Bricks, live stream from Saturday night. Saturday night at around 10, I was down here working. I had been working for about 30 minutes, maybe a little longer than that. I can't even remember. I lose track of the time. But I was working down here in the basement, sorting some parts, and Hoosier had a live stream. There wasn't a lot of other live streams or anything going on, so Bricksmith, Julian, who I will see later today, was talking about the trip today. We're going down to Atlanta Brick Company, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a much needed break for me, but plus more importantly, getting to see a few of you guys, YouTubers, Bricksmith, Jamie, and the others that will be there. That anyway, so I commented about it on the video, and then they, hey, why don't you get in on the stream? And I don't usually get in on streams. Number one, because I'm not usually available to get on. I said, you know what? I'm going to be down here for a while sorting these parts. So I got on the stream, and it's been so long since I got on somebody else's stream that I did the feedback thing where I forgot to turn off I was watching it, and when I joined on the StreamYard, I forgot to close the window from the thing, so you get the feedback at the beginning, and then got that fixed, and then just a few minutes later, work called. That was 10 o'clock, and I came home a couple of times, 3 or 4 times in that period, but I pretty much worked from then until midnight last night, and so I was pretty wore out. And so it was it was crazy. There were some storms that rolled through, and then just a lot of issues, and so I didn't have the free time to do the things that I would like to do, like film this podcast and sort parts from a Bricklink store and such. But in the middle of all that, sometimes you can have, things that just ruin your day. And I had one of those moments. And I think it's been resolved now at this point. But I want to thank BFAB and Fick and Bricks and stuff, ones that reached out to me. Because I was in the middle of all that, like, okay, say Sunday, I came home from being out all night, and then I got called again. And so I thought, I got to make me some breakfast. So I made me some breakfast, and I was looking, because usually Bricks and Bits or have their podcast out, and Ryan's podcast, but I didn't see it, and I was going to have something where I could listen to while I was driving back to work. And then I saw one video, and I was just like, it upset me greatly. It upset me. And I don't normally with people, I can just ignore it. But this one, it really upset me, and it's been resolved since then. But I don't think that, well, let me tell you a story. And it may be irrelevant to all this, but there's some things I don't think that should just be used to make a joke, even if you feel like it's justified, because it's never okay to use certain things, in my opinion, for joking. And I'm gonna tell you my story. I'm a a lot of times people say they're lucky. I don't believe in the word luck. I don't believe in luck. I think things do happen that are beyond your control at times. I don't think they happen to give you necessarily bad things in your life. I don't think they happen just to be good things in your life. I think that they just happen. Things happen. And then I also think that you can be a victim of circumstance, but that doesn't define who you are. I'm very thankful that I had two parents that both had bad, terrible things happen in their childhood, but they sheltered us kids. They overcame it. They left bad environments. They had a very tough life in raising 7 kids in a 2-bedroom house. But I had bad times in my childhood, but when I look back on my childhood, I didn't have a bad childhood. I had things that made me mad as a child, but my parents, they sacrificed so much to give me a happy life. And they encouraged all of us kids to work hard. All of my, well, I love all of my siblings. And I've told the story about how all of us worked at Six Flags at some point. And it's like as I found out more things about my parents' life, and then thinking about how I really had a good life. It's like, eating a ketchup sandwich was a thing, but I was never hungry. I never went hungry. One of my fondest memories, my mom making homemade bread. I didn't think about all the hours that she spent, preparing things for us, and my dad getting up early and going to work for us. I didn't think about all those things. I thought about the selfish things you think about as a kid. And I'm so glad that my mom disciplined me, my dad disciplined me when I acted up as a kid. So I think I was a pretty good kid. I didn't want to get in trouble at school. I did have a couple of incidents, but maybe one day I'll talk about. They were actually kind of funny now looking back on it. But, when you go to school, you start to discover that other people have different experiences in their life. And there's different transitions in school that can be difficult for children. When I went to high school, so over the summer we had played baseball all summer. Some of my friends, we go down to the field, play baseball. And so I always got a tan. I was outside all the time. I did not, we didn't really. I had video games, a few video games from a color computer system that I had, but I didn't have an Atari like some of the kids had, and so I wasn't at home playing video games. This is 1982, by the way, so there wasn't a lot of options out there, and it wasn't really that big a thing. If you want to play video games, you went to an arcade to play video games, which that we actually did have an arcade that I would walk to, but then you didn't stay long because you had to spend your quarters to play the games. But anyway, so I was outside all the time as a kid, so I was pretty dark. I got a tan. And so anyway, I'm in high school, and I'm kind of a quiet kid. I would probably come across being as introverted and shy as a kid. I didn't like talking to people. I still don't like phone conversations. I have a hard time with phone conversations, but I work for the phone company. So at lunch, there was this guy. I don't know his name. I actually went back to my yearbook one time to try to see who he was. But I'd have my lunch, and I'd be walking past the table, and he'd say this word to me in this tone and manner I was like, I know it's an insult. I don't know what it means. And then another day I'd walk past him again, and he'd say it again. He'd look at me like he just had this really mean look at me, and I was like, I don't know what he's saying. um, this went on. This is several days, and I still have that image. It's burned into my brain of this guy just staring at me, saying this word to me, and I would go back to him the next day. And he looked mad. Part of his expression, he looked mad, and he looked like he genuinely didn't like me. I think he was trying to hurt my feelings. I know he was trying to hurt my feelings now, but I didn't have Google in 1982. I didn't have a lot of resources to look up things, so I had the ignorance of bliss. So basically what he was doing, he was saying a racial slur to me several days through the year. And me being blissfully ignorant didn't know it was a racial slur. I knew it was something that was bad. And I kind of got looking back on it, I was like, I wonder how mad he got that I never got mad at him. I wonder how much it got under his skin that I would look at him as I walked past him and not have a reaction, because I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're saying. So it was later that I found out that what he was saying was actually a racial slur of a race that I wasn't. But it's okay. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. People are people. It's like, to me, to say something bad about a person just because of the way they look is very ignorant. It's stupid. And I don't know why people do stuff like that. I do. It's usually learned behavior. They've learned it from their parents. And that's the other thing I learned. So I walked to school from 3rd grade to 8th grade. So all through those formative years of elementary school and middle school, I didn't ride the bus. But in 9th grade, I started riding the bus. And I remember this one kid, he was always in trouble at school. It was kind of funny at times. But yeah, he was always doing stuff, getting in trouble. You might call him a bad kid. But when I remember riding the bus, and he rode my bus, and I remember the first day, going by his house, and then I was like, even then, as a 14-year-old, I was like, oh, because you could tell from the house that it was a bad environment. It was just one of those houses that is real not kept up, and I was like, that's why he acted that way. Had nothing to do with the way he looked, and he was the same race as I am, but yeah, he was always in trouble, but it was because of his troubled background. And I felt bad for him then. And I don't, but your environment that you grow up in can affect you, but you can also overcome it. And I hope that he did. I don't know whatever became of him after high school. I know some that I thought were good ended up to turn to be really bad people. So people define who they are as individuals, not as a collective group. And so I was fortunate. Another thing, my parents didn't teach us to be that way. We always treated people with respect, no matter who they were. And we also got looked down on by a lot of people at times. But that's okay. It's like, my life isn't defined by what you think of me or another person thinks of me. I'm going to do what I think is right. And if people want to say things about it, that's okay. But anyway, that's my, I got other things that I could talk about. Oh, I'll tell you another story. I guess you would say that I am Caucasian. But all my life we thought we had Indian in our background because that's what we were told. My grand, hold on, let me think of this. My grandmother has a name. Is it my great grandmother? Yeah, it'd be my great grandmother. My grandmother's mom last name was the same name as one of the Indian tribes. That I don't think it had anything to do with it because we've had DNA tests. Now I haven't had a DNA test, but my dad, for instance, was mostly like Greek and Italian, and we always thought that he would be mostly Swedish because that's where my great wait a minute my great grand no my dad's father would be my grandfather. Yeah, my great grandmother came from Sweden, but apparently she had a lot of Greek, and apparently there were a bunch of Greeks that had moved, or Italians that had moved to Sweden, and so that's where I get the dark. Well, it used to be dark hair. So yeah, and then we thought we had Indian on my mom's side as well because my mom's maiden name also was the name that is a derivative of what Sequoia's name that he took on. But apparently we don't have hardly any Indian in it, so we weren't that. But anyway, so I don't know what. I think we're all mixtures of everything. I think I haven't done the DNA test, but I know there's going to be Greek, there's Italian, there's German, there's Irish, and well, I don't know, there's other things. But I was very disappointed that we didn't have more Indian in us. I really wanted to have that. And when I say Indian, I guess technically today that would be like native to this area that I grew up in, United States of America. So the native people, or some people call it the first people, to this region of the world. So it doesn't matter, but growing up, there would always be instances where people would make slurs towards other races if that other race wasn't around, and I always didn't like that. One time I worked for a power company, local power company, and my job was cutting grass and doing building maintenance. Like when I say building maintenance, I mean picking up the trash in the building. That type of things. And then I helped with the guy who did the actual maintenance, and as taking care of the lawn at the building and at the substations. We also, if one of our bucket trucks, the big trucks that do the lines, the poles, they would have to go get access to the poles sometimes. And sometimes that meant if that pole was in somebody's yard, they would have, they had to do work on the line, they had to drive up to it. And those trucks are big and heavy, and depending on what the weather was like, and usually like when there were power issues, it's probably when it was raining, so the grass would be wet, and they would drive those trucks up there, and sometimes the lawns would get messed up. That was normal, and so it would be our job, especially if the people that lived there complained, which did happen. I mean, I wouldn't want my lawn messed up by a utility truck. And so we would get those jobs. So we would go and reseed it. Usually, most of the time people back then didn't have sod. It was usually just like fescue grass, and we'd go level it out, put seed out, put the straw out, and that type of things. And so we pulled up to this house, and I was kind of like there's three of us: the supervisor, the handyman helper, and then me, the grunt guy. And the handyman helper guy goes up to the house, and he comes back, and we're still sitting in the truck at this point. He just, he went up to the house to let the people know we were there, and he's like, "They're black." I was like, "What?" He's like, "They're black," and I'm like, what does that mean? What who cares? I'm like, it's like, what are you? What does that mean for anything? It's like, look at their lawn. Their lawn is messed up. Well, so stuff like this would happen all the time. It's like people think that it's because somebody is a particular race that they do something. It's like it's ignorant. It's stupid. I'm like, and I hated it as growing up when people would think it was okay to talk to you negatively about people. So I am hypersensitive to it, and I don't usually talk about that to other people, because I also don't want to be the guy that says things, but you don't know if they're actually a different way. So I don't usually talk about these things. And so when a racial slur is used in conjunction with my face, I'm pretty mad about it. All right? Pretty mad about it. Upset. And I don't think it's something that should be a joke. I think about that episode of Seinfeld where the guy converted to Judaism so he could do the Jewish jokes. It's like, and Seinfeld and the other characters were like all upset about it. It's like he converted to Judaism for the jokes, basically. It's not okay to just make jokes about a group of people just for the sake of the jokes. And if you got something that was unintentional that happened that you think is funny, don't share it. Don't say, well, it's funny, that's what happened. I mean, it doesn't make it okay. And so I want to thank the people that here's another pointer. Don't talk backwards on video because you don't know what the YouTube captions is going to say. But I want to thank the people who pointed out to me that I need to look at the captions, and I went and looked at the caption, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I changed the captions. But later I realized that YouTube still gives you the option to do auto captions. So you can choose from the captions I put in the video or the captions that Google thinks you said. And I'm like, oh my. So I deleted the video from Saturday. I deleted the YouTube auto captions. Actually, I think you can delete the captions altogether. And it's like, I got 5,000 videos on YouTube. Do you think that there's probably things that were funny that the YouTube auto caption picked? Probably. In fact, I've even liked doing that at times, watching a video with the captions on just to see how much it messes up. But not usually it's going to be a racial slur. And so that's what this video had. And it's not there now. So you can go watch the video. It shouldn't be there. But I don't think because the YouTube auto caption did that should be something that you then screen record and then share for the world. Because obviously that's not what I intended for it to be. I fixed it. And I don't think it's something that we can just have a ha-ha moment. Now, I do think that, like, if it's just all the other stuff that was said that made no sense, whether I'm talking backwards or forwards, that's okay. Let's all laugh about that. Let's all laugh about some of the... It is hilarious. I mean, I agree. It is hilarious, some of the things that the YouTube auto captions come up with. But let's don't make a joke of things that are insensitive and just disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. And I don't like to joke like that. I don't find humor in that. I don't like profanity. Also, there's a lot of things, but this is this platform that YouTube has allowed me to use. They also give me the freedom to moderate it, and you have to moderate it. For instance, the comment section is not the comment section, people, is not a place for you to express your freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is for you to express on your channel. Also, the comment section can hold video creators accountable. For instance, when people post links to adult websites on children's content, that can get the video creator in trouble because they didn't eliminate it, and they had all these kids that had exposure potentially to adult websites or other harmful content. So shame on people who don't moderate their content, especially if it's content that kids might watch. And that's why YouTube had to step in, because there were so many of these. And Leo Kim Video has done a video years ago about this, and usually it was content spam, where if you did content that kids would watch, you would get hundreds of these spam comments that are the same copy and paste comments. I did a video on it too after Leo Kim's, but it got annoying because it was usually spam in the sense that they were trying to get subscribers. So they knew if they spammed big or any toy channel that they would get subscribers. So you'd get thousands of these spam comments. But spam is, we also got now the harmful spam, like the Logan spam, which changes to many different names, but it's when you get those, wannabe friends comments. So you need those types of comments need to be deleted. Those people that, bots or whatever it is, that post those comments, they need to be banned. And I also go a further step, is that I cannot show you my list of words, but I have a rather lengthy list of words that you cannot type. You can type them, but your comment will not be seen to anybody else. It's basically all the bad words, all the misspelling of the bad words, certain phrases that are like wannabe friends. I just added that phrase. And so it's tricky because sometimes with the phrases, there's things that are said harmlessly. Like, I did at one point eliminate, like if you said the word first, that comment wouldn't be allowed. But then I was like, well, somebody could be talking about something else and use the word first. And I didn't want to be having to go take everybody's comment out of the spam folder that was just leaving a normal comment. But yeah, so comment section is not freedom of speech area. I have a right to moderate that. That doesn't mean at the same time, well, if you do something, I might want to criticize you. Well, yeah. I don't have the same criticism rules as other people, and I just don't. If you're going to insult me, I may or may not leave the comment. But if you use bad words, even if it's a compliment, I'm going to delete it. So don't use bad words. Even if you're so happy that you use a bad word, which apparently people do all the time. But yeah, I'm going to get rid of those comments because I want the comment section to be clean. All right. So, and don't disparage groups of people. That's definitely that's blocking territory right there. So, and that's the easiest thing to do. It was when when somebody does something that I don't like, you could do a thing like some people do, put them on blast. But to me, there's a thing called the Barbara Streisand effect, where she complained about a picture of her house or something, and by her complaining about it, it made it known, and then everybody found out about it. Whereas if she'd not said anything, nobody would ever know. So sometimes it's better just to ignore it. So it's delete, block, ignore, and that fixes a lot of problems. So I do get a lot of comments that I'm not ever going to talk about, but it's just like, oh, yeah, you're blocked, you're gone. Don't have to ever see your comment again. So the great thing is when you block them is that, they can still comment, but nobody sees it but them. And I am blocked on a few channels myself, or at least one channel. So, and I know how to, the way that you check to see if you're blocked is you leave a comment, then you log in another account and you sort by newest comment. And if you don't see your comment, then you know you're blocked. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I am so well, first of all, I apologize for this being kind of a depressing video, but I needed to get this off my chest, and I want everybody, as Bill and Ted, oh, you can't see them, probably they're way up there, since I'm sitting down today. Be excellent to each other, and have the opportunity today to see some friends at the Atlanta Brick Company. We're going down there, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to this day off. I worked almost 40 hours overtime last week, and that was not consecutive. It was like a few hours here, a few hours there. So I am still exhausted. I may look sleepy today in some of the videos, depending on if anybody's filming anything. I'll try to film something down there. Yeah, to me, I may or may not have a video from this experience. Hopefully I will. I should, at least inside the store. But anyway, thanks for watching another episode of BrickTsar Files with no intro. And another week that I didn't get to the questions. So I should have a good stockpile of questions to answer. And so we'll do that in an upcoming video, maybe next week's podcast. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Whoops.